writer, and a supporter. He's been a guide, a mentor, a friend. And to introduce him, it's my pleasure. So he's an entrepreneur, social media consultant, a professional speaker, author of 5 books, and a podcaster, and an organic farmer. Yes, you heard it right. He owns a farm of 13 acres, which he passionately pursues organic farming. He's been teaching for 18 years as a professional in digital marketing, and he's taught at all the leading B schools. He's also the past president of Professional Speakers Association of India and delivered over 700 talks across 21 countries. If you want to know more about him, you can always check it at www.kiruba.pro. He's also the CEO of business blogging and founder of F5ive Technologies. With work experience over 5 years, he is a true professional. And before I allow him to share something, tons and tons of gratitude, Kiruba, because you traveled almost 3 kilometers from your farm so that you can get network and connect with us and share your journey at Crossroads. Kudos to you and your professionalism in connecting with us all the way from there. Thank you very much, Kiruba. Over to you. You're on mute, Kiruba. You're on mute.
Oh. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Perfect. Do you want to add me to the broadcast because it says that I'm still backstage?
No. You are in the broadcast and everybody can see you now.
Fantastic. So good. So I was just saying that I'm really hoping me traveling 3 kilometers from my farm, I'm now positioned in a place where I hope to have a clear line of sight with the 4G tower. So I'm right now speaking to you from a fairly remote village. So connectivity will be an issue. So please bear with me as we have this conversation.
Absolutely no problem. And here we have Syed joining us, Praveen joining us, and they can see you and hear you. Amazing. So Kiruba, share something with us about your farm. Suddenly a farm project, a digital expert and a farm project. So what is it all about?
So I come from a very rural, bucolic village. As far as I remember, our family lineage goes back to farming. I wanted to make sure that I never lose the roots. For the last 40 years, though, ever since my grandfather died, we've all kind of moved away from villages to the city to pursue education. And I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want, my daughters and their kids to lose the village roots, and hence decided to get back in touch. So my farm is called Vaksana. Vaksana is a beautiful Sanskrit word that means lush greenery. And what we are doing out here is pursuing integrated farming with lots of fruit trees and lots of greenery with vegetables and fruits. So that's what we're doing. I have to apologize for the interruptions with some of the vehicles going by, but please bear with me. Yes. So that's about our farm, Sagar.
Thank you very much, Kiruba. So Kiruba, now talking about your farm, your professional journey and 700 talks. How does it feel as a professional speaker, speaking at 21 countries with 700 talks?
No, it feels great. It all stems from, it's very interesting that the talk is on Crossroads. So there is a connection to it. Ever since as a kid, I remember being very introvertish, but things really started to open up as I moved into college, and I really started to cherish the ability to communicate, to interact. I was the head of the culturals committee. I was editor of the college magazine. So it really felt good to exercise. So taking confidence from that, I decided I've also been very passionate about teaching. So it was a very natural progression, and I found that I had a very natural inclination and a pull towards the stage, and that's how speaking started. And if you're speaking, why not speak professionally? And that was a completely a whole wide world that opened up. I mean, um, not only do you enjoy speaking, but somebody actually pays you to do that. That's a fantastic combination. So that's how the 700 talks across the 21 countries happen, Sagar.
Amazing. So, for listeners, if you are curious about professional speaking versus public speaking, check out PSAI, that is Professional Speakers Association of India, and you will meet some amazing personalities and also learn the art about professional speaking. So, moving on with that, Kiruba, I would be more than happy to ask you the question, what does Crossroads mean to you?
Crossroads mean really good things to me, and I'll tell you why. A crossroad is where you come across to a place where you have multiple choices in front of you, but you don't know which is the best choice, but you have to make a choice. And that gets you thinking. At any point in time, anything that forces you to think and to really evaluate the options is, I think, always a good thing, because it adds that oomph of uncertainty. It makes you sit back and ponder. It makes you evaluate all the choices. And just like an ECG in a hospital, every time you're alive when it goes up, when the meter goes up and down, when the signal. I think it's the same thing even with Crossroads. The choices may not be great. You will be pushed to a corner, but that's what makes life interesting. That's what Crossroads mean to me, Sagar.
That's amazing, Kiruba. And life at Crossroads, looking at it as options, opens the doors of opportunities. So rather than thinking it as a roadblock or an hurdle, if you think it as an option to expand your comfort zone and grow to leaps and bounds, I mean, that's an amazing way to look at the Crossroads. That's amazing. So we've got some of your fan who is also talking about farming and farm to plate and other things. So that's brilliant. Moving on to the next point, when we talk about Crossroads, when we talk about options, it'll be amazing for us to know one story, or you can share many though, but one story which is still close to your heart about your journey at the crossroads of your life and what were your learnings through that.
Sure. So because I'm speaking to you from my village, I'll take this itself as an example. And like I told you, the hailing from a our family has always had a strong fascination towards education, and we all know that the best education really is available in the cities, right? Villages don't have the best of schools. So, in the better interest of children, parents would gradually gravitate towards cities for education. So, pretty much we're all city bred, going to some of the best schools. But then, over a period of time, you come to a crossroad, and when you start to really look at about life, so I had uh, choices, and the choice one was very easy, which is I can continue to remain a city kid. I can continue to settle down in cities. I have a thriving digital business practice. I'm a professional speaker. I'm a professor. All of these things really got to do with the cities. But then it also started to dawn upon me that my real heart and my village roots uh, really remain with where my parents and my grandparents have been. So letting that go away somehow didn't feel right to me, and I needed to do justice to that. But I can't full time come to the village as well, because as we all know, farming isn't the most lucrative of jobs. It is very fulfilling. It is very soul giving, but it's not necessarily sustainable financially. So I decided to draw a balance, and that's where my that's the decision that I took at my crossroad in life. I decided that I will lead a hybrid life. I'll continue to pursue my my digital business, my consulting business. At the same time, I will take care of my farming activities. It is not a hobby; it is a profession that I pursue with all seriousness. So, thanks to the advancements of technology, and with whatever faint internet I'm able to get, I'm able to run the show. So that's Crossroads for me, and this is a classic example that I decided to pursue both the city life and to pursue both my village life as well in farming.
That's nice to know that you've taken farming not as a passion but as a profession, and you're thoroughly serious about what you're actually doing. But coming to that point, you know, I'm curious to know that as a professional speaker, when people talk about studios, technology, light arrangements, and what not goes into professional speaking, and here you are standing at your crossroads where you are actually taking calls through whatever network is available to you, traveling 3 kilometers from your house just to get the network. uh, don't you feel ever that why am I taking that choice, or does it affect your professional impact or the talk that you give?
For certain, it does affect. It does affect professionally. I mean, I would feel extremely happy if I had a really good connection. I mean, that would be the elixir of life. It would be the best of both worlds. But then we have to make a sacrifice here. Does it affect my professional speaking? It definitely does. But I'm fairly confident that things will improve. I remember not too long a few years back, I I will have to drive 160 kilometers from my farm to Chennai to take a call like what I'm talking with you. So I consider myself grateful that I only have to travel 3 kilometers. Um, I definitely see advancement in that regard. Relatively speaking, I'm very bullish and optimistic. In a couple of years, with 5G coming in, things will look up. There will be a cascade of technologies that the urban-centered 5G conflict it will have on connectivity in villages. That would be the life. I'm 47. I intend to. I don't believe in the word retirement. I will continue to work as long as but happy to village full time in the near future, and with internet connectivity, and I'm 100% certain will happen. So really looking forward around the world digitally to both sections of the market.
Amazing. So, when Kiruba is sharing all that with us and letting us know about 5G and how bullish as a speaker he is, and he believes that technology will fulfill and always connect him to the right resources, it's also very important to understand what he means by it. Now, here, when you're at the crossroads, you have taken a decision, you have taken some options. Now, when you take a decision, when you have taken an option, it's up to you to stand by it. It's up to you to take that ownership and deliver of what you have expected and what you have done. Because crossroads, yes, it gives you options, but at the same time, it also is challenging and frustrating and crushing, which means that if you have decided to move on a certain option, to move on a certain path, take ownership of it and deliver unless and until you get the results you desired. We've lost Kiruba right now for a brief moment. I'm sure he will be back. In the meantime, let me share a few things which I would say are the treasure chest from my book. And that again relates to what Kiruba is doing. So I'll read out a paragraph for all of you, and we will have Kiruba back then. So, what it reads as a treasure chest is that before taking up a job or any consulting assignment, understand what is expected and explain your expectations clearly. Now, this goes even for the people who are hiring a consultant or people who are the consultant themselves, because it's important for both the parties to have clarity, explanation, and expectation about what their scope is. And if you do that, you will definitely have zero friction. But without that, you will always end up in friction, which will result in disappointment and maybe even financial losses because the customers might not come back to you. So there we are at the crossroads. I still see that we have not connected with Kiruba or his connection is out. So if you have any questions on the crossroads, we can continue and you can share them in the chat. Praveen Shekhar says, I don't believe Kiruba is 10 years older than me. Okay. And we have Sayyad sharing, it's great to know working in the farm. I believe land is the biggest factory, but we are moving from this factory. I'm living in a village and try to set up a farm with a concept called farm to plate. That's amazing to know, Sayyad. But still, I only have failures, but slowly moving step by step. I'm sure you can connect to Kiruba and take tips from him and, get on with that. We have one more question. What's the best advice you've received in terms of transversing at the crossroads? Now, we've done 14 episodes till now, and almost every single speaker that we had shared many things about crossroads, many things about, what crossroads means to them. And that is the route which talks about what is transversing in crossroads means. And most of them have said crossroads are choices that we make. Crossroads are the desires that we intend and the options that we choose. And second, we also learn from people that once you are at the crossroads, know what you have to do, know what are your options, know what are your strengths, and find out what are the different options available with you. And there we are. We have Kiruba back on the show. Thank you very much, Kiruba. We were continuing talking about what is the best advice we have received from various speakers on different crossroads while you were getting back online. And Praveen kept us engaged. So thank you very much. Yeah, back to
Thanks,
you,
Sagar.
Kiruba.
Apologies for the disruption. I had to travel some way, so hopefully this stays tight.
Absolutely no problem. That's what I started with. The show started with saying that compassion is what we need to have. And you traveling all the way is more than enough for me and the listeners there because you're adding value and you're taking that effort. So kudos to you, Kiruba. Before the internet goes, I'll pull out another question so that we save on time. What is a key learning from your life journey? And what is the advice that you would give to the listeners when they are at their crossroads?
I can tell you from my own experience that I think the best key learning that I've got is looking at are you being true to your life's objectives? are you going to bed feeling satisfied with the way how you've spent? I think answering those questions very carefully and having the guts and the gumption to let go of what may look like really good look benefits in terms of money or fame. So just being sure that not to take on a task or not to do things that does not bring you happiness and joy, but it gives you money or fame is really not worth living, not worth pursuing. It's better to pursue things that we truly enjoy. Uh, I've I've been really fascinated with people who seek higher happiness quotient than against money quotient. So that would be my advice.
Lovely. Go for, don't go for the money quotient, but go for the satisfaction or passion or the fulfillment quotient, which also can be termed as happiness or joy. And your Praveen Shekhar, as usual, is giving his nuggets. Zada passion chahiye, kam nahi. Thank you, Praveen. Thank you for that nugget. Brilliant. So, Kiruba, moving on to the next point and the next question. Now that we know what is your learning from the Crossroads, which is your favorite chapter from the book At the Crossroads of Life?
So my favorite chapter from the book is definitely the early life of you, Sagar, because I've known you personally. We've been associated for a few years now. I've known you only as a person at from certain juncture of life, right? So we've got to know each other through the Professional Speakers Association of India. Both of us have both of us are professional speakers, and it's a passion for speaking that really helped us bond together.
Yes.
So that's the version of Saga that I know. So for me, getting to know your background story, the kind of difficulties that you had to face, how the Mumbai floods really turned your life upside down, but you picked yourself, you pursued your education in the UK, you those are things, and have you completely changed your narrative, your life narrative. You grabbed life by the scruff of its neck, and you joined a company. You established yourself out there. Now you're pursuing your passion for what you're really good at. I think those are things that really fascinated me. That's the best portion of the book, because having known you personally and to getting to know more about the other side was the best part of the book for me.
Lovely. Thank you, Kiruba. Thank you very much. Would you like to comment or share something on what Syed has asked us? I suggest to have a session on future jobs, as approximately 15 to 20% job category will be replaced with new skills in 5 years. Would you like to add something to this?
It's very funny, Syed. It's a great question, Syed. And I have to tell you, there's this one picture that came by, and it's a picture of a helicopter flying out there, and there's this cameraman who shoots professional aerial videography, and it said that both these guys have lost their jobs, right? Because for especially for cinemas and earlier, people would the financier or the director would hire a helicopter with a specialized cameraman to do that. Actually, no one does that. All you need is just a drone pilot who'll do all the shots. So while the opportunity is still out there, but the nature of job has changed. So I think that analogy really applies to all of us. While we are pursuing what we are doing right now, I think it would be awesome for us to really keep one part of the eye on where's the world going, and what's the newer trend, what are the newer skill requirements for people, and constantly learning and relearning and unlearning would be something that I would definitely advise. I think it's a great point by Syed.
Thank you, Syed. Thank you for pointing out an amazing question there. And I'm sure you would have answers. If not, we can definitely connect offline and we can discuss more about it, because I'm a firm believer that every life or every phase of life, as things advance, as you grow in life, you also should acquire new skills, for which, in my book or in my life journey, I followed three principles. Be aware of your environment, of your people, of your surrounding, and what your strengths are. Invest in something that is required by the market and improve your weaknesses or strengthen your strengths. And the third is have the right mindset. Be a firm believer that you can and you will win this life with success, happiness, and joy. I'm sure if you follow these three things, the world is yours. So,
Very well said.
thank you, Kiruba. Thank you very much. So, now coming on to the last point, where what would be your giveaway or the last closing note, where you would share something with your listeners, with the listeners on the show. What would you like to share about the whole show or about your personal journey or any advice that you want to give as a closing note?
I think I want to take a tip from this show. The best way how one can really add value to how one can really help build a brand is by really adding value. I think if we can take that as a takeaway for all things in our life, that would be fantastic. Um, you know, you're. I mean, this is a great show, right? I mean, you've taken the effort to write the book. So first, kudos to you, Sagar. I wanted to give you a statistic that there's this very interesting New York Times survey that polled about, I think, 1,800 people and asked them, what are the things that you would like to do before you die? And to become an author was amongst the top things in that list. What New York Times did was they went back to those same people they polled and found out how many of the people that they polled eventually went on to tick that their bucket list goal of becoming an author. And they found that less than 1% of them had actually attempted to write a book. And only a fraction of that 1% went on to publish a book. So you're in that very exalted rarefied percentage, Saga. So that's one important lesson I think all of us to take is to really document our life journey and to really put our thoughts, because the book or this knowledge will outlive us. So that's one. The second one is also the best way to build our brand is really through is to giving as much value as possible. And that's exactly what, Sagar, you're doing by having conversations with people and really eking out interesting anecdotes and incidents from their life. So that's what I would leave it. Add value and document your life and let many other people really benefit from that.
Great tips. So, add value and document your life and add value to the world. Having said that, as a ritual on the show, I request every single listener who is watching it now or later, collective prayers have a lot of power. When we started, it was peak of COVID in some parts of India, and the collective prayers that you guys have been doing is making magical impact. So continue that, do collective prayers, sit with your family, and let that prayer go out in the universe to everyone who wants it. And that's the least we all can do. Thank you very much. Signing off. Looking forward to see you all again.